Can laugh at it. Welcome to Talking YouTube, where each week I'm joined by inspiring creators from around the world in open discussion about their YouTube journeys. We dive into the highs, the lows, and everything in between as we discover the people behind the glass and the realities of being a YouTuber. Tonight, it is my pleasure to be joined by Tys, who through the very definition of consistency and hard work has managed to build a full-time YouTube business in under a year on the platform. Ty is an inspiration to thousands, so join me as we discuss his journey to YouTube success. Hey, welcome back. So tonight I'm joined by Tys, and many of you will know him, but for those watching the replay who don't, Ty has done what many of us would love to do and quit his job and made YouTube his full-time business. So welcome, Ty. Thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Good to see you, Jay, and hello to everybody in the chat.
Yeah, hi everyone. So I've got a few questions for Ty tonight. Just before I start with those, I just want to put something out there. As usual, if you've got questions for me or for Ty, then please do preface those questions with 3 capital Qs, and that way we can pick them up in the chat if it gets busy. So Ty, how are you doing? Good day so far. It's been a busy one for you.
Midday here in Denver, Colorado. So far, so good. It's a Friday, so I can't complain.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it's coming on to the evening here in the UK, but I just want to ask you a question, and it's something I start with for all of the guests, and it's quite an important one. What made you make the crazy decision to start a YouTube channel?
Oh man, that's a great question. The short answer is boredom. The long
Yeah.
answer is I felt an itch to do something completely different and not have to be beholden to a job in corporate America, but instead to build something with my own 2 hands and to try and create a life for myself, um, that I can, grow of my own volition and make my own money and do it on my own terms. So that was kind of what predicated me putting myself on the internet.
That's a powerful reason. I mean, starting your own business essentially, isn't it? But without the
Yeah.
promise of actually making any money,
Mhm.
which I guess a lot of people who start a business have to go through. But you've actually defied the odds. There's a statistic out there which states that 90% of YouTube channels never make 1,000 subscribers, let alone turn it into their full-time business. So
Mhm.
is that something that you had in mind from the beginning, or was that just something that developed along the way?
Yeah, I think it more so evolved and developed along the way, but pretty early on. I think as I was getting my bearings about myself, within the first few months, I didn't really have a clear idea of how this would turn into a full-time gig or even, make money from it. It wasn't until maybe around month 4 where I started doing my own coaching for people that needed help growing on YouTube that it kind of clicked a little bit, and it was like just enough validation for me to be able to get more clarity looking forward that I could potentially do this more long term and as a full-time venture. And so, but from day one, there was no clarity. It was like I'm just gonna throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. And eventually things started to make more sense. But yeah, about 4 months in is when I pulled the trigger, put in my 2 weeks at my company that I'd been working for almost 20 years. And I decided
Wow.
that I was going to give this a fair shake and put in all of my energy and all of my effort into it. When you quit your job, you really have no excuses. And so I created this scenario for myself where I had no excuses but to work on YouTube all day, every day. And for the last 8 months, that's pretty much all I've been doing since last November. And I'm still not anywhere close to where I would want to be in terms of a full-time income. I'm starting to make more and more money now, but I think it's probably going to be another year, hopefully less, before I get back to a place where there's more comfort financially from YouTube. So, yeah, so I just wanted to plant a flag there and let the group know that uh, being a year in doesn't necessarily mean you'll replace a full-time income with your
No.
current job. It's probably going to take still a few more years, at least for me in my situation.
Yeah, I guess that's something that everyone has to consider. And I know quite a few people who've started a YouTube channel with the intention of making money, and then the reality hits them that this isn't an easy thing to do. And if that's your goal, you're going to have a plan. You kind of had a, well, I guess your plan developed as you went, but you
Mhm.
worked with somebody quite well known in the YouTube growth space, didn't you?
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about that briefly, and how
Yeah.
that helped your how that helped your YouTube journey?
Yeah, for sure. Because I think it's useful for a lot of folks starting out is, it's one thing to watch a lot of content on YouTube to learn how to grow your channel, but it's something completely different to have direct support from somebody who's also doing it themselves. So, um, I think it was last October, it was about 3 or 4 months in that I hired a coach for myself. So a lot of you might know Alexa Saranoia. She's been
Yeah,
doing YouTube for a little bit longer than I have, and she's had some really great success and growth on her channel. And I think what attracted me to her was just how relatable she was and how she just showed up every single week as imperfect as she was, and she was, neck deep in all YouTube growth. And it's kind of where I want it to be as well. And so I figured who better to learn from than someone who's a few months ahead of me who can really help me see the pitfalls that I could be potentially walking into. So we worked together for about 6 months, and she was the one that challenged me to start my own coaching program. And I'm glad I did as early on as I did, because back then I had no idea what I was doing, and I was still in my head a lot, thinking that I wouldn't be somebody that somebody would want to pay for because I didn't know a whole lot. But it was a change in mindset for me, and it was all about just know that you're a few steps ahead of other people, and other people will want to work with you. And
yeah.
that was a light bulb moment for me, and that really helped me out. It boosted a lot of my confidence, and that's also what helped me make the decision to leave my full-time job. But yeah, having a coach is really helpful, and at minimum having a community of people to surround yourself with, because I think you guys have heard the expression. I forget who, I don't even know who to attribute it to, but it goes something like, "You are you are the sum total of like, or you're like the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with."
Yeah,
So if you're trying to get good at something, it helps you to spend time with people who are good at the thing. And so I was always looking
definitely.
for people like Rob, who's in the chat. Like early on, I was bugging him and watching a lot of his stuff, and like because these were the people that I wanted to surround myself with. And so, for anyone out there who's who you don't have any YouTube friends, or you don't have a coach, or you don't have a community, look around, because if you're surrounding yourself with people who are doing the same kind of work that you want to do, it's going to help you. It's going to elevate you. It's going to expedite your learning, and you're going to get to your goals so much more quickly and with less stress.
Well, on that point, I just want to say something to everyone. When I first started my YouTube journey, I felt so alone. I'd never done anything like this before. And, similar to what Ty's alluding to, it felt like I really didn't know where I was going. And I was very fortunate to stumble across Tys Skool community. So I just want to say how much of a game changer that was for me. And if you are alone out there trying to build a YouTube channel, like Ty said, connect with other people. They don't even have to be in your niche, but other
Yeah.
people who get it. They understand the process, they understand the challenges and the problems that we face. When you do that, everything will change for you. So I hope you don't mind me saying, Ty, but I'm going to leave a link to Ty's Skool community in the description afterwards. But I'd highly recommend you check out his channel if you haven't already, because that is something that was an absolute game changer for me. And that's kind of all I'm going to say on that. But Ty, how you're running that community, and
Mhm.
since I've joined a couple of months ago, it's gone from maybe 80 to 100 people to over 250 now, if not more. How is that running such a large group of creators? That must be a massive investment in your time.
Yeah, it's a big undertaking, and but at the same time, it doesn't feel like work to me. It's more fun, and I probably spend more time in the community than I should, because it's maybe distracting me from other stuff I should be working on, like making more videos. But I have to say I'm having a great time with it, and I'm pretty picky about who joins. For anyone who's joined recently, there's 3 questions that you have to answer, and if you're not answering the questions with any thought or detail, I just decline people. So I probably decline about 30-40% of the people that apply. And that's very intentional because I'm really sensitive to the culture in the community and the way people interact with each other. And I just don't want any spammers or people who don't have the right intent joining. So that filtering in of itself is work. And then once people come into the community, making sure that they feel welcome and supported. And like a lot of people are new to Skool as a platform, so they're not really sure how to navigate. Giving them a video on how to get around. All of that infrastructure does take time to build out, and it takes time to maintain. But in the end, I think it's great because I've gotten to learn from so many people from all over the world, Jay, including you. We have a lot of people from the UK, a lot of people from Europe more broadly, and surprisingly, people from South Africa. We have someone from Iceland. We got people from not as many people from Asia Pacific, a couple people from New Zealand and Australia. But
Yeah, we do.
it's really amazing to see the breadth of experience that people bring and the types of content that they want to make or are already making. I'm learning a lot about all of these different niches that I never thought I would learn about as a result. And that's pretty cool. And then, of course, seeing other people's experiments in real time, like people are trying all kinds of cool things. And I get to see firsthand what they're working on. So it really just, it makes this amazing playground, this like lab, if you will, of people working on YouTube and trying to make things work. And then when you see people share success stories or wins or things that are working well, it just helps everybody else because we're all experimenting in real time.
Yeah, exactly. And it's something so powerful as well. I mean, about watching other people's channels who aren't in the YouTube growth space. Because I kind of spent a lot of time watching people like Rob, vidIQ, Think Media. But I would have to say that I've probably learned more by watching other creators who aren't in our niche.
Yeah.
And they've given me more inspiration and ideas than anyone in our niche has, to a certain extent, because it really broadens your mindset and opens your mind to other things,
Right.
and that's
Yeah.
what's powerful
Because
about your community to me.
yeah, because when you watch videos like the YouTube growth videos, you're getting a very curated, filtered version of what it takes to succeed on YouTube, and you don't get to interact with it. You just consume it. But when
Yeah,
you join a group call or when you engage deeply in a community thread, you really get to go back and forth and ask questions and go deeper and figure out the context of things. So there's more learning to be had in my experience with that kind of interaction.
for sure. No, it's definitely a valuable resource. And if you didn't know this already, it's free currently. I'm not sure what the plan is in the future, but all I know is I'm incredibly grateful for it. And that's how we met. So it's a bonus for me
Yeah.
ultimately. And the amount of people that I've met through that community, it really has been a game changer for me. I've met a lot of people who I now consider to be my friend. We've got Naz in the chat here. Me and Naz regularly communicate off platform, and just having somebody to bounce ideas across with, somebody who might tell you that actually that's not a great idea or that sounds a little bit boring. That can be a real game changer as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, 100%. I'm definitely grateful to you for having that. So your full-time YouTube journey, you said that you are kind of at the point now where you're starting to make money. It's been over a year for you.
Mhm.
How was it when you first took the plunge and quit your job and sat there in front of your computer thinking, wow, this is on me now? Were you monetized at that point? Were you kind of making an income? You were making an income from your coaching, I presume?
Yeah, I probably okay, so thinking back to when I put in my 2 weeks at my old job, I wasn't monetized through the YouTube partner program. So I hadn't earned any ad revenue or any channel memberships, none of that. I had right around 1,000 subscribers, but I didn't have the watch time hours yet to join.
Yeah.
So the only money I had been making was probably like 20 or 30 bucks from affiliate links, and then also a couple $100 through my coaching program. So I say that because some of you out there might be thinking, well, shoot, I'm going to quit my job. I would tell you don't, just be really, really careful about the decision to quit your job to go full time on YouTube, because it's a very big decision. And I was in a very unique situation where I'd been saving a lot of money over the last 7 years in my old job. And I had created for myself a bit of a financial cushion where if I were to quit or lose my job, I wouldn't have to work for probably 1 to 2 years. And so the justification or excuse or whatever rationale I was telling myself at the time was, well, hey, listen, I'm really enjoying this YouTube thing. It's been about 4 months. I can see how this can evolve into a profitable coaching business. So now is a good a time as any. I'm in my mid 40s. I don't have a lot of other obligations, financial or otherwise. So I'm going to put in my 2 weeks. I'm going to give this a year or two, as long as I'm financially stable, and try to figure out how to make money on YouTube within that window. And if I fail and I can't figure it out, or if it's too hard, or the money's just not there, then at least I can go back potentially to my old company. I still maintain relationships with a lot of folks, so we left on good terms, or I can look for something new in the workforce. My goal is never to go back to corporate America, but it's always there in the background in case I need to. So that's where I am right now, 8 months into what I'm considering maybe like a year, year and a half. So by this time next year, if I'm not at somewhat of a decent full time income, then I might consider going back to corporate America. But I'm very determined to not let that happen.
Well, that determination has definitely come across. I would say that, in my opinion, there isn't really any reason you will fail, judging by the growth you've seen. And, you know, you're just such a great person and you're so willing to help people. And I think that really comes across, and people will be drawn to you for that reason if they haven't already. So
Thanks.
I know you're going to hit your goals without a doubt. And I'm sure everyone in the comments here can agree. Everyone watching can agree.
Yeah. And what's cool about YouTube is you get a firsthand glimpse into other people doing it. Like I've been following Rob for the last year, and I'm watching his channel grow, and I'm watching the evolution of his content and the evolution of his business. Same thing with Alexa, and same thing with a handful of folks, even folks who are newer than me, who are doing different things, maybe with digital products or courses. You get to watch all of this stuff unfold in near real time as it's happening for them. And there's just so many resources. And with the way AI is creeping into our everyday life, I think now is literally the best time for anyone who wants to get out on their own and build with their own two hands some sort of business that's online, that's social media adjacent. Today is the best day there's ever been to start that kind of business. Tomorrow will be the best day to start that kind of business. And it's just going to get increasingly easier. The barrier to entry is going to get increasingly smaller. It's really it's a function of creativity and determination, I think. Not even
Yeah.
a time constraint, because I think a lot of people who are working full time can still make this happen. It's just a matter of prioritization, determination, and leveraging all of the tools that are out there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, I'm somebody who has a full-time job, and I underestimated the process. If I'm being honest with you, the sheer amount of time it takes to come up with ideas, to write my scripts, to record, to edit, even the preparation for this podcast once a week. It's a good 5 or 6 hours
Yeah.
if you include the time we take talking, and I love it. Luckily, but I wouldn't do it if not, because I think on average I spend about 20 to 25 hours a week with YouTube. And that's not including the time I spend watching other people's videos.
Yeah.
And if I didn't enjoy it, I don't think I could do that. And I think that's why so many people will start their YouTube channel and completely underestimate how much work it is, and then maybe realize it's not for them, or it's not the get rich quick scheme that we think it is.
Yeah. And it's a good point. There's a lot of like, I think for anyone who's done any research on how to grow a YouTube channel, your home screen is probably filled with videos of how I went from 0 to 100,000 subscribers in 6 days. And we just get flooded with that kind of information. And then we get it in our head that it's really easy to do, but it's not. first of all, the people that are making those videos, they're kind of clickbaiting, I think.
Yeah.
They're like giving you the information, but without all the caveats. And then when you watch the video, you get all the caveats and the context and the nuance that lets them make that claim. There's also a lot of like AI automation stuff out there that was I think for the last like 2 years, there was a lot of people making money off that. But I think now with the new monetization rules that YouTube is enforcing, they may not see that same level of profitability.
Yeah.
But it's often misleading how hard it is to do this thing.
Oh, definitely. And just to touch on that AI, I personally don't believe that it can ever replace the genuine human creators, simply because I know personally I watch YouTube channels because I value the person, their experience, their life journey, whatever
Yeah.
they have to teach me or share with me. And that can never be replaced by AI, in my opinion. I don't know how you feel about that, but I genuinely don't watch AI content. If I see an AI voice, I'm turning off that channel straight away.
Yeah. Um, I agree to an extent. I think relatability and like a human connection, like the emotional connection we have with other people, won't be something that is easily replicated through AI. Um,
I think
that
music is the only caveat to that, I'd say. There are some good AI music channels out there which I really enjoy.
Yeah. Um, Liquid Hour DNB represent.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
got
it's
some good
it's
stuff
crazy
there.
how good it's gotten at that kind of thing. And maybe we'll get to a point where the AI gets to know us so well. Like you can even see this now with ChatGPT and the memory feature. But imagine in a few years where, you've got years of an AI getting to know you, your habits, what you're working on, your personality, your writing style, your communication, and then it can flawlessly execute on writing a script, based on a topic you give it. And then maybe the AI voice have gotten so good and you can even clone your own voice right now. They're not super great, but you can do it. Um, might get to a point where the AI gets so good at writing based on what it knows about you, and the voice clone gets so good at your articulation that it's passable. And then at that point, who knows? We're in a completely new world. And yeah,
Yeah.
I often wonder what people's tolerance for AI will be in the next few years, and if people's viewing habits and interests will change. I think to some degree there's going to be this whole new world of AI generated content, like the video and the visuals that we haven't even thought about. That we're just like, it's just the tip of the iceberg right now. I think there'll be a place for that. But I also think there will always be a place for seeing and hearing a real voice. And so I think there'll be almost like two sides of YouTube, like the human side and then the AI side. And it's just a matter of viewer preference at that point.
I think there's a certain truth to that. But the controls that YouTube have put in place I think they're almost there to safeguard us as creators, because they know that a lot of real people will be put off by the thought that AI can do it better than them. And
Mm.
it'll almost put people off even trying, because they think, well, what's the point? So I'm glad that those controls have been put in place. I know a lot of people might be put out by it, but I think it's ultimately good for us as creators. I'm just going to jump into the chat here, because
Yeah.
we've had a question from Mike, and I'm just going to put that up on the screen. And he's asked if we think it's possible to do this YouTube part time while working a full time job. Well, that's something that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And he's asked me what I think about that. Well, I think that it is possible, but like I said earlier, you have to be prepared for the fact that it's going to take a lot of your spare time. If you've got a family, they're going to have to be on board with that. I'm very fortunate in the fact that my wife is very supportive, but there are many evenings and weekends when I'm locked in this office
Mm.
with that door closed, and I don't spend as much time with her as I used to. So that is something that people tend to overlook, in my experience. So yes, it's possible, Mike, but it really depends on your tolerance for your time being taken up by it. And if you're able to do a 50-hour work week and then do 20 hours on YouTube as well, that's why it's so important to make sure you control YouTube and you don't let YouTube control you. It's very easy to have this thing following you around everywhere with the
Mhm.
YouTube Studio app popping off every 10 minutes. And you need to make sure that you put your own controls in place. Have a day off, go out for a walk. Don't look at your app for an evening. Put dedicated time in to speak to your family. So I think that's how you maintain the balance. I don't know what you think to that, Ty. Have you experienced any issues with that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, within the first 4 months when I was doing full-time work and then posting twice to YouTube, it was really hard. And I was also fortunate because I got to work from home for my day job. So I didn't have a commute. And some people have, some people are commuting 2 hours each day and it's just 2 hours gone. Um, so even then was kind of fortunate. But the other thing too is because you have to, because you're probably, you know, doing YouTube far fewer hours when you're working a full-time job, you also have to be prepared that it's going to take you a lot longer to reach whatever milestones you're after. And that's okay. And that's by design. And a lot of people are in that situation. So if you're out there comparing your channel growth to another channel, that's a quick way to spiral and get yourself down. But
Yeah.
don't do it because you might be comparing your channel growth to someone who is doing YouTube full time. Um, you know what I mean? So it's like it's not always apples to apples, but just be prepared for it to take a long time. It could be several years of continuous inputs before things start to snowball and materialize. So
Yeah.
that's the
And
other.
that's not a YouTube growth video that you're likely to click on, is it? If you see a thumbnail that says this is going to take years,
Right.
you
Yeah,
know, but
exactly.
it's the truth.
So I think being patient is important. Setting correct expectations with yourself is important, because it's one thing to sprint early on in the first 3 or 4 months when you're like really motivated and really excited and you're putting in all this work and it's like a moment of sacrifice and your family's on board. Like that's great. But can you stretch that out for 24 months, for 36 months? Can your family put up with that for 2 to 3 years? Maybe they can. But again, to
Yeah.
Jay's point, this is a conversation you need to have with the family. Be like, hey, I want to do this. I need to make this work. I need to put in X amount of hours per week, and this could be a 3 year, 5 year project. So, what's the feedback?
That is a fantastic point. Like I said earlier, I think people grossly underestimate the commitment that it's going to take to get to the point where you can say, "I'm quitting my job." I know that you did it early, Ty, and more power to you because you took that plunge and took the risk upon yourself. But for many people, they don't have that choice.
Yeah,
And like you said, if you can stretch out that commitment to 24 months, a lot of people can't, or a lot
yeah,
of people will play the lottery hoping that they have a breakout video within the first couple of months, and they hope that they can ride the wave of virality. But the likelihood of that happening is quite low. Did you have a breakout video, Ty, that really saw your growth go through the roof, or?
sort of. I mean, not like super super viral, but within my first 3 months, I had one video that did considerably well for my channel. And it's funny too because like a breakout video it's always different at different stages of your channel growth. So I had a video that got to like 6,000 views when my channel only had like 500 subscribers. So that was like month 3 for me. And that one video got me pretty close to 1,000 subscribers from about 400 or 500. So it almost doubled my channel. And then from there was like good positive momentum. But then there was always these periods of like flatlining where things don't really move very much for a couple weeks, even a couple months. So
The
I
dip?
had oh, go ahead.
No, I said that's the dip, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'll talk about that in a second. But I had I had two kind of breakout moments within my first 6 months where each video, so two different videos, each of which kind of like elevated me a little bit, like a step up. And then after I got monetized, and this is something you guys might be on the lookout for, I got monetized about 6 months in, and I immediately felt just completely deflated. Like I had no motivation. I was like, I was kind of spiraling because I didn't. I just didn't know what to do after I got monetized. Like, what's next? And then I was like, shoot, I'm not motivated to make videos. And I'm feeling very conflicted about even what my channel is supposed to be about. But luckily I had the community and I was talking to people and helping other creators. So that kind of got me into a good headspace. But I was in a lull for about 6 weeks. And it sucked. I could barely post videos. I threw together some really crappy videos back then.
And by
And
this point, you've already quit your job, right?
yeah, I already quit my job. Um, I was full time, 6, 7 months in. I was monetized, but I wasn't making really any money. Like it was a couple bucks a day through AdSense.
Yeah.
So, and it wasn't that I was disappointed with how much money I was making. It was just like I couldn't really see how I was going to turn this into more money. Once you hit that milestone, at least for me, this is my experience. Once you hit that milestone, you feel this sense of relief, like this accomplishment, because I've been chasing it for 6 months. And then you get there and you're like, shoot, I still got to work my ass off. I got to do more than I was previously doing. But yeah, it took a little bit of time, got my head straight, kept posting. And then sure enough, more videos start to take off. So it is an up and down. It is a roller coaster for sure. The highs are really, really high and the lows are really, really low. And it's everything you can do to push through when you're at those low points. So,
Yeah.
and you never really know when something's going to take off and blow up.
Absolutely.
And those moments, they just put you on top of the world, for as long as they last. And then oftentimes they come down pretty quickly as well. And it's, how do you prepare for that? How do you keep your head straight even when you see things trending down? So
Yeah. I can relate to that. I haven't really had a breakout video as such, but I had a video recently which did 3 times the views that I'd normally get. And I sat there thinking, well, this is fantastic, I'm now on 500 views a video. So the next one I put out is likely to get 600 or 700. Well, it got about 80.
yeah,
And, even at that level, some level of success, whatever that means to you, can really build you up
yeah,
temporarily. But there is always the next milestone. I like to think of it as going over a hill. You focus on the top of the hill, and that's your target. And then you get to the top and you realize there's a bigger hill in the distance.
right.
And then you've got to start all over again. And Tina's asked a question, what do we consider, or what do you consider a breakout video? How many views? Well, I think I just answered that really. It's something that goes against the norm that you're experiencing. If you usually get 50 and you get 1,000, would that be considered a breakout video, Ty?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, anything that's like, I don't know, maybe like three or more times the channel average. And there's all
Yeah.
different levels of virality. Some people they'll go like they'll have videos that do a couple hundred views, and then one video gets several million views. That's like ultra mega uber viral, right? But that's so rare. And
Yeah.
then for me, it was like probably getting a couple hundred views on a video. And then if I had one video that got like a couple thousand views, I would consider that a breakout video.
Yeah, I have to agree, and it really very much depends on where you are now. But I know that she's been having a lot of success with her channel, but
Yeah.
then when you're in that situation, you always want more. That's
Yes.
just the nature of human beings, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the goalpost is always moving, like we're talking about. And it's funny too, because if I post a video now that gets like 500 views, I would be kind of disappointed, right? But
Right.
then if I think of who I was 6 months ago, 500 views would have been great. Or a year ago, 500 views would have been amazing. So
Yeah.
it's funny how quickly our standards or our expectations shift. So my advice to anyone in the chat who maybe hasn't had a super breakout video yet, if and when you have a breakout video that does really well for your channel, just feel good in the moment, like give yourself a pat on the back.
Enjoy it.
Just know that the next video you post will likely not do any better than your previous channel average. And that's okay. This is normal. This is like the ebbs and flows of YouTube.
Yeah, they give us a little bit, don't they? They give us a little nugget of success. You get that 1 in 10, and all of a sudden, it's like a double-edged sword, like you say.
Yeah.
Because I knew I had a 1 of 10, and it had triple the views I normally get. And afterward, for 3 or 4 days, I sat there almost frozen, not knowing what to do next, because I knew that whatever I did was never going to match what I just put out. And it was a weird feeling. And you know, guys, I'm not saying I had a viral video here. Don't get me wrong, but like we said, if you have a video that does a lot better than your previous one, you just know that it might not happen again for a couple more. But I think that can also derail a lot of people,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost demotivating in a way. 'Cause you're like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to make next. How am I going to top this video? But one thing I've learned over the last 12 months is that normally, and this is again case by case, but normally when you have a breakout video, it pulls a lot of new eyeballs into the channel that haven't seen you before. And then they oftentimes will go to your channel page and watch other videos from your back catalog, or because they've watched your viral video, now you start to show up in their browse screen a little bit more. Or if they do a search, that might pull you up in the ranking because they've already watched some of your content. So the floor of all of your other content tends to elevate, which is great.
Yeah,
Gives all of your
I've
other
seen that
videos,
recently.
yeah, like a bit of a boost. It's not always super obvious, but over time it does elevate the floor. And then the other thing I've noticed is some videos will just take off out of nowhere for no reason. No, I mean, nothing that makes sense intuitively when you look at the YouTube studio. But it's just whatever, it's just the direction the wind blowing is when the wind is blowing at the time. You know, like sometimes that viral video will get a lot of views, it'll lift the floor, and then some of your older search-based content starts to increase as well. Um, so it's all interrelated in some weird way. And the more videos you have, the higher your chances of of more views to accumulate from that floor raising. And then, like I said, if you make content like how-to content, search-based content, evergreen content, you'll often never see those do well in the moment. But after several months, where you have a handful of videos that are all search-based, you'd be surprised to see how much momentum those videos start to build.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a lesson to everyone, really. Just keep posting content, keep improving, and those seeds that you plant, they will eventually sprout. You know, I've
Yeah.
had a video which did poorly in the first couple of weeks, and the impressions has looked like a steady incline all the way, and it only gets maybe 1 or 2 views a day, but over time it's turned from a video that had 20 views when I posted it to one that has over 350 now. So
Mhm.
I can only imagine the compounding effect on my whole channel
Yeah.
as I continue to post weekly. And that's what, it's, I guess that's a really powerful reminder to us all, isn't it?
Yeah.
That,
Yeah, don't underestimate the power of evergreen content. It's hard though because we're so used to instant gratification, and we're so accustomed to making a video that we think will get a lot of traction in the first few days. We aren't often in the mindset of, I'm really motivated to make this video that's going to perform poorly over the next 5 months, but then might have a chance of taking off on month 6. Like, we don't ever think about that.
yeah,
But if it suits your channel, I would encourage you to think about that. Is what video can you make this week that is low friction, super basic, and helpful to your target audience, that might, over the course of the next 12 months, start to pick up traction.
yeah. And that's those how-to videos. Those are going to be really powerful for
Yeah.
long-term growth, aren't they?
Yep.
And it's also, to quote you, I think, I might be misquoting you, but to try and solve one problem for one person I think that's a very powerful statement that I took away from one of your videos a few months ago when I first found your channel, and that's something I've really tried to remember every time I upload. You know, it might not appeal to everyone, but you only need to appeal to to one sort of person for a video to do well over time.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one thing that helped when I was struggling several months back. Um, in reading a couple of books, of which The Dip is one of them. I was just trying to simplify how I approach the week in terms of content creation, and I had this one reoccurring thought of like, who can I help this week, and what problem can I solve? And I think
Yeah,
when you strip everything else away, when you stop caring about the views or trying to fine tune for the algorithm, and you get back to the fundamentals of who can I help this week and what problem can I solve, um, the compounding effect of trying to do that every single week means that you will just intuitively get better at problem solving. You'll get better at finding the problems that people have, and then you'll get better at bringing them the information or presenting the solution for those problems within the context of the video. So in one way, I think the way to think about your YouTube channel isn't like, how can I become a better editor, or how can I become better at the algorithm? At the at the macro level, it should be, how can I become the best problem solver in my niche? Because if you can become the best problem solver, meaning you know how to identify the problems that a lot of people have, and you know how to help them work through those problems, then everything else falls into place. The views will come if you can be the best person at solving specific problems that your audience has. The editing will fall into place. The delivery on camera will fall into place. The titling and the thumbnails will all fall into place. It's really just about identifying the core issues that people need help with, and then being relentless about solving those problems. That, in my view, I think is the simplest and most, I guess, like it really gets to the essence of what we're doing on YouTube.
yeah, I think that's powerful. And like I said, I try to keep that advice with me every time I make a video because it is such a powerful way of framing it.
Mhm.
You know, it can be very, very easy for us to sit there and try to make a video that appeals to everyone. But I've quickly learned that's just not possible. So I've stopped trying
Yeah.
because it's not going to
Or
be any good for us and our mental health if
yeah,
when we hit upload and then we sit there with anticipation and we realize that a third of the people are clicking off straight away.
yeah.
You know, you just have to get used to that. I was really, really furious with people to start with. It was almost like, how dare you? I've just put all of that effort into this video and you haven't even got the decency to watch half of it.
Right.
But it gives you a thick skin being a content creator on YouTube for sure.
Yeah. And even videos that go viral or have a lot of interest, like they're high interest topics or there's a large addressable market, people still click away early. So the retention
Yeah.
graphs they're a bit of a crapshoot. Like I don't know, I think they do more harm than good in terms of making us feel bad about our content.
Yeah, I often wonder why so many people click on a video when the video is obviously about what the title promised it would be,
Right.
but yet they click off it anyway.
Yeah.
Do they just not like you? Is it my bald head? You
I
know,
don't
what
know.
is it?
I mean, like video I made, like how much YouTube paid me, that's in the title of the video that people clicked on.
Yeah.
And it's only a 6-minute video. Like, you don't have the patience for 6 minutes. Like, and I deliver the value at 3 minutes in. So, but yeah, people will click away within the first 30. And I just think, I don't know, people are bored and they click on things and then they realize they don't want it. But
Maybe, but you can't be for everyone. We've got a couple of questions, so I'm just going to quickly put a pause on the conversation, just to acknowledge the audience. And I'm going to have to scroll back up because Mike's got another question for us both. And it's a really good question actually. What do you believe truly turns viewership into subscribers? And he had a video that got 845 views, but 3 comments, and no one subscribed, and he found that odd. Well, what do you think to that, Ty? It's a difficult
well,
question, isn't it?
it could be misalignment between the packaging and the content, right? You could be getting the views, but people could be dissatisfied with what they're watching. Now, without
Yeah.
without seeing the actual video, I wouldn't have any way of knowing, but that's just a preliminary guess. And I think the number of comments relative to the number of views, that's going to vary by niche, right? And it's going to vary by, I think, content format. So I think some formats lend themselves better to more engagement, more likes, more comments than others. Um, and then also the number of subscribers. I don't know. It's really hard. It's really hard to say one reason or another. But I think what compels people to want to subscribe to a channel is if they feel a connection to the creator in some way, and if the overall mission of the channel relates to something that they want to watch more of. So if you make a video on how to unclog a toilet, but the rest of your channel is about how to get the best deal when buying a car, you might get a lot of views on the toilet video, but you're probably going to get far fewer subscribers because they come to realize that the rest of your channel is about buying a car and they might not care about that.
Yeah.
So there's an alignment issue potentially. That's why it's really important to make sure that all of your content sort of fits under a neat umbrella in terms of, a niche. But without knowing the actual video itself, it'd be hard to give you a direct answer. But that's my just initial guess.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. But also, when it comes to subscribers, I know there's a lot of content going around at the moment talking about that. And in actual fact, I think about people I've subscribed to, and I never get recommended their videos. And, you know, the truth is, the videos you get recommended are heavily influenced by the videos that you watch, not who you subscribe to, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like you can watch a ton of videos by people you're not subscribed to, and then the next time you log in, your homepage is just full of recommended videos from those people that you're not
Yeah.
even subscribed to.
I mean, that happened with Naz, with me. I wasn't subscribed to his channel for whatever reason. I think it was just an oversight, obviously, because we were talking by that point, and I didn't realize I wasn't subscribed because every time I logged into YouTube, there he was sitting there on the homepage. So it goes to show that subscribers are a great metric, but they're almost a vanity metric at this point. And I think really what we should be looking at is watch hours and how many viewers you have on your channel,
Yeah.
as opposed to how many subscribers you have, perhaps, although it is an important metric for sure. We've got another question here from Joseph, my guest from last week. And I'm going to pose this one to you as well, Ty, but feel free to pose it back to me afterwards if you like. What systems have you developed for putting out consistent content? Well, firstly, what is consistent? That's the question, isn't it?
Yes. Consistent for me for the first 7 months on YouTube was 2 long form videos per week. That's it.
Mm.
That's evolved. Now I do 1 long form plus 1 live stream.
That's the same as me, actually.
Yeah. And I think for anyone who's struggling to maintain consistency with long form videos, I might recommend like maybe just doing 1 long form per week and then doing 1 live stream, because getting to this 1 live stream and 1 long form has been it's just been so much better for me, because even doing this full time, you guys, it would be too much to try and do 2 long form per week, because I still at this point tend to overthink and over edit and just do probably a lot of low leverage work that doesn't need to get done. So having a live stream scheduled every week is amazing for me because, one, I don't have to overly prepare for it. 2, it is way more relaxed and casual, just like you're seeing right now. And then 3, there's no editing done on the back end. It just posts automatically to YouTube as a video on demand, and I just call it a day. So that's been a game changer for me and giving me more time and not burning myself out. But I will say though, everyone's different, and we all sort of function differently, and we think about the creation process differently. I know some people who are very successful who don't keep a content calendar at all. They will literally wake up in the morning and be like, "Oh shoot, I need to get a video posted this week." And then they will scramble for 4 hours and post a video. And that's the full amount of work that they do on their long form video for the week. And that video will get thousands of views because they're just amazing. Other people will spend, I don't know, just the majority of the week trying to get 1 video done. So it just depends on how you work and how you operate, but I think a good system for people to try to work towards is batching things, meaning if you want to be consistent and post one long form per week, then try to ideate and come up with 2 video topics in a single working session. And then on your next working session, come up with the title and the thumbnail and the hook and the loose script. And do that for both videos. So you're keeping your mind focused on a very similar task for multiple videos, as opposed to trying to do the ideation, the titling and the thumbnail, the writing, the filming, the editing, all within a 1 week time frame for one video, and then having to do all of that over again the following week. Because when we switch between these different tasks, we often lose a lot of like mental efficiencies. So if you can batch your stuff and create a good system for your batching, even batch filming, if you can do that, then you're gonna just save yourself a whole ton of time. I haven't quite gotten there myself, but I know a lot of people who operate in that environment, and it works out really well for them.
Yeah, I had to learn that the hard way because I was that person who would start a video in the morning on a weekend, and that video would take me 12 hours from start to finish.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was because I was new with my editing software, but regardless, the whole day would be completely fried, you know. And then the end of the day comes, you post your video and you're back to square one again, and you're jumping between tasks all day long. Now, I've taken that advice on board because I will spend a day or two writing a script, and then I will record that video, and then maybe 2 days later I'll start editing that video. And I think what really helped me with my mental health on YouTube was removing my self set expectations of I need to get a video out by now. Now I'm
Yeah.
quite happy that if my video takes me, you know, if there's a 9 day gap between long form content, then so be it, you know, because that long term vision is not going to be affected by a day or two. And actually, spending an extra day with the wife or going out with my family is more important than maintaining a self imposed schedule.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's a difficult balance, and it's something that people don't really consider when they start. But everyone here will be able to relate to that, I'm sure.
Yeah. And oftentimes, and I still experience this myself, but I see it with a lot of newer folks in particular. Um, Especially when you're brand new, right? And you're just getting your first few videos out, we often have this over attachment to the video.
Mm.
And we cling very closely to like the subject matter. It's very precious to us. And therefore we want to do it justice by doing it right in the video. And so we take way more time than we need to. And I try to help people see, and it's going to sound really terrible, but I hope to encourage people to see that their content is almost more disposable than they would otherwise think. So if you make a video on how to, this an example for me, how to design the perfect thumbnail, right? Like, just make the video as best you can in the constraints that you have, and post it and move on to the next one. Don't over fixate on the precious nature of this topic, because you can always come back to it. You can always make a new version of that video a month later, 3 months later, 6 months later. There's no cap on how many times you can make a particular video. And a lot of newer folks will be really passionate and fired up about a particular topic, and it'll take them weeks to make that video because they want to do it so well. But I say just do it scrappy. Do it scrappy, do it in a short period of time, get those reps in, because early on you're not going to have a huge splash. You're probably not going to make a big impact with any of your first videos. The more important thing is to get the repetitions in and to get the experience of going through the content creation process from A to Z. And then once that becomes more familiar and more fluent, then you can spend more time really, I guess, fleshing out the impact of the content itself. So that's another thing to think through, is like, don't cling so much to your topics. They're not as precious as you think they are. They're actually more disposable than you think they are. And if you treat them that way, then you'll get more reps in a shorter period of time, which for a lot of new people is a good strategy.
Yeah, that's not something I hadn't really thought about it like that because for me, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, even though obviously every
Yeah.
video that I make has got room for improvement, right? But I almost feel like if the video isn't good enough, I don't want it on my channel because people are gonna subscribe to my channel in the future. Then they're gonna see my old video and maybe think, oh, what's that? You know? But actually, you're right. Not that many people care, and there's nothing stopping you from you know, redoing a video
Yeah.
6 months, 12 months in, once your skills are improved and your knowledge has gone up. So that's a great point. Naz has asked us a question. I think we've already covered it really. Do we think subscribers are important? Well, obviously they are. YouTube uses them as a metric for various different things, but I don't think they're as important as we like to think they are, for the reasons that we mentioned earlier. So I think,
Yeah, I don't think so either. So vidIQ actually put out a video within the last day or two. I
yeah,
forget what it was called, but they were
I watched that
showing.
one.
Yeah, was it the one where they were talking about the monthly audience?
Yeah, so that's kind of a viral theme at the moment because I've noticed a couple of the big channels have been making those videos, and I think vidIQ was the first one,
Yeah,
um, which really emphasizes the point that there are a lot of channels out there with a massive subscriber count who get really, low views on each video.
right.
You could have a channel for 10 years and 80% of your subscribers might be inactive.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think subscriber count is less important. I mean, obviously it's important for monetization. There is a certain there's a certain social proof that I think comes with subscriber as well. But at the end of the day, it doesn't tell the full story. And that's why I think the monthly audience metric in the YouTube studio is probably a better measure of if your channel is actually improving over time.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I'm putting these questions on the screen because we are covering them all, really. There's a lot of questions about this, and maybe that's because of the videos that have been going out recently, I
Yeah.
suspect. So I'm just going through the chat here to see if there's anything that I've missed, but it looks like I'm up to date, and people are, as usual, they're entertaining themselves and talking amongst themselves, which is obviously a good thing because these live streams are a fantastic way to network with other subscribers, other creators, but hopefully subscribers. So yeah, feel free to carry on with your chats. I will just say, if you're liking this live stream, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and that's the only time I'll ask. But quite often, people tend to forget, myself included. So please do like the live stream if you do find it valuable. Um, so Ty, I'm just going to circle back to your coaching business, if that's
Yeah.
okay, because obviously that is a big part of what you do here. Um, and I wanted to ask you the question, and without revealing any names, obviously, are there any real obvious mistakes that you see people making time and time again as new YouTubers or as people who have maybe been doing it for some time?
Um, I kind of hinted at it earlier with clinging on to videos too much and not you know, like kind of like almost like closing the door, closing the chapter on a video and moving on to the next one. And I'm sort of guilty of this myself, but I think sometimes we cling on to videos for too long and we don't take the requisite steps to get the next video underway. Um, and I think for most people, we come to YouTube without the skills to communicate well on camera. We don't know how to edit. We don't know what makes a good story or a compelling, like a cohesive script of a video. And so we oftentimes are like tweaking things that are going to have very little impact on the overall result. And that's why I encourage people just to be really messy and really scrappy and just post. And don't just post complete rubbish, but just like get it good, get it to 60%, 70%, and then move on. Because I think the real learning comes with this, like these tiny compounding micro lessons that don't feel discrete in the moment, but over the course of 6, 12 months really start to add up and build this confidence and this skill set that you can't otherwise get just by focusing on one or two videos. So
Yeah.
it comes back to this like idea of clinging on to like the precious nature of the videos that we're trying to make early on. I think we just got to get as many reps in as possible. Get that out of the way. Get all of the gain the fluency of the production process, and then at some point, maybe a couple months in, 6 months in, you can pivot to more quality, more tactical, like a more strategic approach, doing more research, studying title frameworks, and studying thumbnails a little bit more. I think also too early on, people try to do too much. They may tackle multiple socials. They may try and do short form and long form. Um, and while it's good to get the experience of trying all those things, I think there's a time and a place for it. And there's also a lot of shiny objects. There's a lot of things pulling for our attention, so many tools, different AIs, different software. And one of the challenges of being part of a community and also watching a lot of YouTube videos is you get to see all the things that all these other people are doing. And you're like, well, if they're doing that and they're being successful, then I should stop doing what I'm doing and do what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so oftentimes people get distracted and they pivot too early before they let something play its course. So those are some of the things I think I see newer folks getting stuck on.
It's about that focus, isn't it? And making, like we said earlier, you're not going to hit success really by any metric just in a couple of months. You have, with YouTube, it's a long game. And if you, for example, with me, I do this live stream once a week. I put out one long form a week. If I was to suddenly look at shorts and think, oh, they're doing really well for that channel, and then I divert my attention onto those
Yeah.
as well, not only am I going to be burnt out, my long form content might suffer. You need to be a master of one or two things before you start to spread out. And I think when you do get to the point that you can start to diversify, you should start to maybe look to outsource some of
Yeah.
the things that take you the most time, maybe the editing or whatever that might be, because that's going to make you a lot more productive ultimately,
Right.
isn't it? If you learn to outsource some of those things.
Yeah. When you get 10 to 15 hours back in your week, then
That's
you
powerful.
can put that into other business building activities or other money making activities. But yeah, and then the other point is a lot of people will get started without having a clear idea of what they're trying to accomplish. And some people just want to do YouTube for fun, and that's great. And
Yeah.
then there's really no recommendation or advice to give them. But for the handful of people that want to genuinely grow their channel with intention, um, you know, s- sometimes it's hard to know what their channel is about and who they're trying to serve and what their mission is and if they're trying to solve a problem, how they do that. So I think for some people, trying to figure out what that is before is helpful. For other people, they need to gain the clarity through doing. But what you might find is some people are stuck. Like they'll be posting for 2 years and they still won't have a clear direction on what their channel is. And I maintain that you probably need to figure that out within the first few months. Otherwise, you're going to be spinning your wheels and you're going to be attracting different audiences that are fragmented. And it's going to be very, very hard to grow the channel without a clear direction. So, yeah, that's the other kind of trap that people find themselves in is they have too many interests and they want to make content on all of these interests, but they're fragmenting their audience and they're not gaining any real momentum. So it's a struggle for a lot of people.
Yeah, I know there's a couple of people that I know. Actually, my guest from last week, he doesn't have a niche, but his channel grew really quickly because of the
Mm,
content that he makes. It's very entertaining, but also educational, and I almost feel like he's captured this, the ability to appeal to a really broad range of people.
yeah.
But he told me something interesting the other day. Actually, we were on a call together, and he said that he often uploads a video without notifying his subscribers because he wants to
Mm,
test the algorithm. He wants to test everything else and not
yeah.
rely on that subscriber count. So it's it's quite an interesting way of operating a channel, but it
Yeah.
seems to be working. I don't think many people could pull that off though.
Right. I was gonna say he's probably a bit of an anomaly.
Yeah, he is. He's a good guy, and obviously his editing skills help. We've had a couple of questions. I'm just going to jump in there. And Jen has asked a question, and she's asked who are our YouTube inspirations. Are there any particular creators that really inspired you? Ty, do you want to go first, or?
Yeah. For me, it was Alexa Serenoia and Rob the Maritimer were probably the two that I found before, and now my Alexa's going off since I said Alexa's name. But they were the two that I saw probably last June. So June of 2024, and I watched a bunch of their stuff, and I was like, these guys got it. Like, I could do what they're doing, and that's what helped get me over the hump to get started. So those were the two for me. What about you, Jay?
Yeah. Well, interestingly, I kind of started off with a guy called Chad Lisenby, and he's not in a YouTube growth space, but he's a normal guy. He's kind of like a fatherly figure. He goes for a walk in the woods with his Pocket 3 or whatever he uses, and he'll just riff on a topic, like a motivational topic, for 15 or 20 minutes, life advice really. And I thought to myself, wow, this guy can just go for a walk in the woods, and he's got 100,000 subscribers in 5 months. Look how easy it is. So I actually started my channel trying to emulate him, but it turns out that I'm not that interesting. I don't have the ability to draw people in with my wisdom, obviously, and it just didn't really work. And then I saw Rob's channel, and I suddenly realized that I'd been through these kind of a lot of challenges trying to grow a YouTube channel, and I'd learned a lot along the way. And I thought, you know what? Rob's inspired me to start a channel teaching people a couple of steps behind me
Yeah.
what not to do. So Rob is an inspiration for me, definitely, as well as Chad initially. But I think it's interesting with Rob. His name is often thrown around because I feel like in this community that we have, it starts with him. He's almost at the top of the tree, and in many ways, a lot of people here will be connected through a massive network of people that go all the way back up to Rob. It sounds a bit weird, but I think it's kind of a good way of looking at it.
Yeah,
He's
I
an
mean,
inspiration to so many.
yeah, exactly. He sort of like cast this web, if you will, and a lot of people fell into it, and those people all stayed connected through his comments, through his live streams, through their own YouTube channels, and the community that's built underneath them. So yeah, I think that's one of the cool things about YouTube is like this. It's huge, but it's also very, very small. It's like you've got this massive network, but all the same kinds of people, we tend to find each other and we tend to hang out with each other. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah. But it makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many people are out there that have not heard about Rob the Maritimer? Because if there are literally billions of people using YouTube and his 80,000 subscribers, it's a drop in the pool, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think about that. I wonder if there's like other sort of like micro bubbles of creators out there. Like, is there like a Rob V2 that we just haven't met yet who's doing something similar? Like, he's down in Florida and he's got his own crew of people. He's got 80,000 subscribers, and I don't know, like, who knows?
I'm sure there are. There's another Rob out there somewhere. Maybe not quite as likable, but no, it's an interesting topic for sure. I'm just going to check the chat as well. I've missed a few more questions, but it's almost impossible to keep on top of it while you have a guest on. Whereas if I was to do a live by myself, which I haven't done yet, it's a lot easier the chat is kind of what keeps you going. So apologies to anyone who I've missed. So Mike's asked a question there, and he said, shouldn't we just post when we're done? Some people have said don't post on Mondays and Fridays, which makes no sense. Yeah, you're right, Mike. It makes no sense whatsoever. I don't know if he's kind of alluding to the old fallacy of uploading a video and leaving it on unlisted for a couple of days. I don't know if that's what you mean, Mike. Maybe that is. But I think when your video is finished, once it's finished processing, publish it. Try to upload it when you know that your viewers are generally active. But other than that, I don't think it really matters. I hope that's answered your question. Have you got anything to add to that, Ty?
No, I agree. I don't think it really matters. I've seen people post videos at like 2 a.m. when there's nobody on, and those videos will go viral in 2 days. So I don't think I don't think it matters the day of the week or the time so much.
I agree. I agree. I'm just going through the chat here, and Jen's asked another one there, and she's asked a question about tags in the description. I have an opinion on this, and I do use a couple, but I think mostly they are used for indexing purposes. So I use my own name, JB, as my first hashtag, because if I use that in all my videos and then somebody clicks on that hashtag, they're going to see the rest of my videos. Ty, is that correct?
Yeah. I think that's pretty smart actually what you said. But
Yeah,
I think the jury's out on how much people click on the hashtags, because the hashtags are essentially hyperlinks. Um
to a
and you
search
can,
term.
yeah, exactly. So like if you're in the description of someone's video and there's a hashtag and you click on it, then it'll effectively become a search, and then you'll get served a bunch of videos that also have that hashtag, which can be helpful. Um I suppose that could be helpful if you're looking for, like, I don't know, something really unique or specific. But as far as like the algorithm and SEO, tags are pretty much meaningless.
Yeah, they're
Um,
like a relic of the past, aren't they?
yeah,
I
I kind of
mean,
like it though. Like when you put a tag in your description, then the first three tags that you've picked will show up at the very top of your
yeah.
description above the fold. And I just like the look of that. So that's mostly why I do it.
Yeah, I do it for that reason as well. And like I said, one of my tags is just me, so it's more for classification. I've seen
Mhm.
a lot of successful channels out there that don't use any, and they've got six-figure subscriber counts. The videos get millions of views. So I don't know. I think, do they hurt? Probably not. Are they massively important? Probably not. Um, there's no harm in trying, but I wouldn't place too much emphasis on it. What's most important is what your video is about, and if people watch it and keep watching it,
Yeah.
and that's that's pretty much it, in a nutshell, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yep. If you got a great video, then you don't need any SEO at all.
Yeah, exactly. So Ty, I mean, we're coming to what I usually call the end of my podcast. An hour and 15 minutes is about as much as my small brain can handle usually. But before we go, there's a really important question that I want to ask you.
Sure.
Um, and it's really just, if you had, what advice would you have for somebody just starting, or somebody who might be struggling with views or growth and really starting to question whether it's worth it or not?
Oh man, I feel like there's just so many things that come to mind when I get asked that question. But I think I think number one is, like, if you're feeling down on yourself, don't beat yourself up, because trying to succeed on YouTube is like, it's like you're trying to be a pro, it's like you're trying to, like, it's almost like you're trying to break into Hollywood. It's like it's
Hmm.
so competitive and it's next to impossible. And so just give yourself some time to skill up and get better. You're competing with people that have been doing this for a very long time, and they're taking the lion's share of the views and the attention. I mean, think of like the Mr. Beasts of the world, who've just got ginormous teams and millions of dollars poured in to keeping you locked into their video every second of the video. When we start out, you're essentially taking a crash course in like 12 different degrees in university. I mean, just writing a script by itself is its own discipline that you can
Yep.
get a degree in. Video
And
production.
people make money with that, just
Oh yeah,
writing for other people. That is
right.
a discipline in itself, like you say.
Yeah. So literally everything you do that goes into making a video is its own discrete career that takes decades of specializing in to be good at. And so here we are as complete amateurs trying to do all of it. We're wearing so many different hats, and it is so easy to just get frustrated and give up on yourself. But that's why you need to really have a long view of this whole thing. And that's why I keep telling people, stick with it for stick with it for 6 to 12 months, just to get a sense of Do you even like it? And then if you like it, stick with it for 3 to 5 years if you intend to try and make money from it.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. Well said. And also bear in mind that if you're focusing on making a living from YouTube, don't focus solely on making it from ad revenue, because there are lots of different ways of making a living, as Ty is testament to. And we're seeing a lot of people in the comments now just giving their gratitude to you for your time. Tracy, she's I would say a regular on the podcast. She wants to just say thank you for sharing your time with us, and I'd just like to echo that. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you with me today. I've really
Thanks.
appreciated, having you here to answer the questions for me, and your knowledge is well, I'm grateful for it. So thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I'd be happy to jump on anytime, and good to see you guys all in the chat. Thanks for the questions, and we'll see you guys soon.
Yeah, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, guys.